What's going on, YouTube? Zero Lead here, and I'm back again with a new video. Episode 57 of the Disco Era u.s.s Enterprise tutorial. I just want to thank you very much for tuning in to today's video, and if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And today we got a couple of things we're going to work on. Well, one thing in particular we're going to be focusing on is our ship Brig / jail cell. This was a top request that I was having from people for the one of the things I should add for the interior, and this came out so good. This was actually one of the more recent things that I've done on the ship, but I wanted to go ahead and add this on now. So first thing that I did here, you can see I've got my screenshots, and there are really only two screenshots that I used. This one kind of like as a loose reference, and I'm going to start the video up here. And we're going to pan over to the second picture, which is an above 3D shot to give us a little bit more perspective on what we need to do here. We're not going to be building this exactly, mostly a loose reference, but I'm going to try to make it work with the room that we have available to us. So we're in our saucer section on deck 7 at the top of our turbo lift, and we're going to go out down our main turbo, or excuse me, our main corridor shaft, directly across from our shuttle, or excuse me, our transporter room. We're going to build our brig. So we've already prepped some of this out. You can see I've got our doorway basically in place. We're going to take these walls out. And now we're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to start building out from the door back. First, we're going to start with our doorway itself. And we're just literally going to continue on the same pattern that we've done in the past. And for all the other doorways on this ship, with the darker gray, and then the red, and then darker gray. Pretty simple pattern. And not a super long video today, only about 29 minutes or so. But I will say that by the end of this episode, we will have the brig 100% completed. The screenshot from the picture is the completed brig, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed this build. It was a lot of fun to do. Right now, I'm just trying to get a gauge on getting the rest of this done, and then getting kind of a perspective on how far back I want to build this, because as I'm building this, I'm trying to decide basically if I just want to do the one brig or if I want to add multiple rooms. Thinking I want to add at least a couple, because I mean, a ship this size, it wouldn't feel practical just to have one room. Now, we don't need to dedicate a ton of space to it, but we still need to make it big enough to make it look good, basically. Before we do anything else, I want to run through here and get some extra lighting. Another request that I had was when I'm working in dark areas, if I can add extra lighting for you guys. And I can definitely do that. And I'm also trying to convert these videos now in 1080p. So hopefully a combination of that and this will help. But any videos that I've pre-recorded, if they get a little bit dark from beforehand, I'm sorry. But any new videos, I promise I'll put extra lighting up for you guys. All right, so getting our lighting up here so we can work a little bit easier without working in the dark. And we're really not going to be using much more than this immediate area right here, because we want to use maybe the rest of the space to add something else. I mean, we have some area to work with on the saucer, but not a ton of room. I mean, should be able to do everything that we want to do with this ship. But there's no need to make this thing ginormous just for the sake of making it ginormous, is basically what I'm getting at. So you can see I'm building a fourth one back. And on the fifth one, we'll add another row of pillars. And I'm just essentially outlining where our doorways are going to go for our for the brig themselves. And we're just going to have 3 of them lining up this way. At first, I'm going to try to make it work with one, and then I'm going to add another one, but then I'm going to have to kind of shift some things around. What we're putting right here in the middle, this isn't going to change. You see, again, now I'm just continuing our doorway, because we're essentially building this right here, but I'm working within the pattern that we've currently used on our ship. This is going to help everything stay a little bit more coherent, basically, and together. Now, I'm making my doorway, or not doorway, I'm making the floor plan for this brig, trying to figure out how big I want to do. I'm trying to kind of going off this picture here, but what I'm ultimately going to decide is that this room isn't going to be any wider than the current doorways, because they're not staying at the Shelton um, at the end of the day, or the Hilton, I mean, or a high grade hotel. I mean, it should be, you know, a jail cell at the end of the day, so it doesn't necessarily need to be super big. um, I need to grab red glass. I think I passed by it once towards the top, a little bit higher up. There we go. Now, I'm sure somebody will notice that I also used red glass in engineering, but if you actually pan back to the last screenshot from the beginning of the episode, and like if you look at, let's say, the um, some of the rooms in engineering, it's literally the same red, because I believe those are, you know, um, shields, or in this case, you know, like a security force field. And I think in that era they were just red. So in this case, we're just, you know, keeping consistent. So we will fill in this walkway here with a row of red glass, just to simulate that it's got a force field. And now I'm thinking that I kind of want to repeat our hallways in here in this room also, but on this side with the Briggs, we're going to be taking this stuff down, because where I'm adding these two rows of white concrete, there's going to be doorways here. So you don't need to add these two, because I'm going to take those down in just a few moments. But still need to go through it just a couple of minutes before I take it down, because at this point I'm still in denial and haven't accepted the fact that what I'm doing here isn't necessarily working. I want to do something just slightly bigger. And I'm just going to fill in a row of white concrete on both sides just to make it flat. Okay, perfect. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I can put another doorway right here to the left. But the problem is that to the left side here and the right side, we basically got hallways on either side. So we basically can't cut out anything that's on these walls, because it's going to cut into our actual circle corridors. You can see I'm shaving back a little bit here. I'm trying to make it work, kind of, but this doorway here is a little bit far back for one, and I'm also going to have to shift it over a little bit. Because pretty much my idea is I was trying to use the red concrete line going along here and blend it in with maybe the doorway, but I'm not taking into consideration the row of the darker gray that I'm going to have to go around. I won't be able to delete what's above it. You can see it's also one back too. So literally what we're going to do to fix this is ever so slightly, we're going to shift it forward and to the right, and this way it'll be perfectly in line with our doorway that's in the middle. All right. So we'll do a row of white concrete lined up with our pillar going straight across. So this way we have a line to gauge where all of our blocks needs to go, and this will help us, basically a training wheel line, just to help us keep our placement accurate for the pillars that we're about to place down. And this is what I should have done from the get-go. Start with this gray line first. We're going over 1. Want to make sure it's 3 wide, so we'll have 2 double gray, dark gray blocks in the 2 middle pillars, but that's okay. It's not going to look bad when it's done. So it'll be this one and this one will be doubled up. And now we're just going to complete our pattern with our doorway, dark gray and red, 3 wide and 3 high. And now let's get rid of this stuff on the other side. And we're going to repeat that same process again now. Like I said, this was pretty cool how this came out. If there's any other stuff that you guys would like to see me do, make sure to drop a comment below, because my goal with this is I would like to get the interior done as close to complete as possible, if not all the way. And I still have stuff planned that I do want to do with the interior. I've already pre-built the bowling alley. That's going to be coming up for you guys in future episodes. We've got some more work to do on the engineering. We've also got to finish our medical bay, and then I've got the living quarters for the ranks and then general crew. But if there's any stuff that you want to see other than that, oh, and the mess hall, that's going to be something that happens also. And then, of course, the conference room. But other than that, if there's any stuff that you guys would like to see me do, if I'm missing something, drop a comment below, because I'm definitely interested to hear what you guys would like to see me add in our quest in getting this thing completed before we move on to anything else. Because believe it or not, the Brig was something I was not originally planning to do with this build. And I'm actually really glad that I had a few people suggest this, because this thing came out really good for what it is. And I really do think that it keeps that whole retro feel that I'm trying to go for. And yeah, you see I'm just filling in the floor here. I'm using the darker gray, keeping with our current pattern, what we have for the rest of the interior of the ship. Once we fill in our floor here, we'll get some lighting in the roof, and then we can take out some of these sea lanterns in the floor. Once we close up our roof, we'll get our placement for when our lights are going to go. And I think we're going to do that on both sides. Let's fill in the floor first. And you see here, this block, we can't get rid of that because that's going outside. So I used the wrong color. Let's correct that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to build around it, and we're going to cover it up so this way we won't even notice it. Right now, let's just fill in the floor, and then I'll show you guys how you can cover that up. All right, so we're just going to keep the pattern of our hallways on this wall. We're not going to have to rebuild a second row of red, because we're just going to use the row that we currently have. We're just adding a row of white concrete on upper side and bottom side of it. It does have a couple of black or darker gray blocks there, but we need those there because that's what's on the other side. And now we're basically going to make a box or square with one open in the middle. We're going to do this for every entrance to the brig. In the very center here, we're going to put a sea lantern. Give us a nice little pattern in the roof. And again, just keeping with what we have, pretty much what we're doing is we're trying to set this up in a way where the ship flows. It's pretty much what I'm trying to say. So especially when you walk through these ships, one thing that you notice is that a lot of the designs carry over from deck to room, and that's what we're trying to achieve right now. So this pattern that took from the roof, I got this from our main connector uh, hubs and our corridors. So you can do things like that sometimes. Basically, what I'm getting at, and get away with it, and just that subtle change right there. I mean, our roof looks great now, and now just the rest of it, we're going to fill in with a darker gray. And now let's go in with the sea lantern. And now we can get rid of these sea lanterns in the floor. All right, so we have our entryway for our brig pretty much mapped out. We got to clean this up a little bit. What we're going to do is, you see I'm going off of the white line that I did to the left, and we're essentially just going to build out the rest of our corridor going around here. Now we need to add a row of red, and then this corner we're going to add another block of red. Now the one I'm doing right here, don't do that. I was trying something out and I decided that I don't like it. And I ended up getting rid of it. That's literally the only one I'm going to end up putting down. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're literally going one row out from the dark gray line to add our 2 rows of the white concrete, and just continuing our hallway pattern around. I'm going to go to the other side of this wall. I'm going to put a red block down here, but I'm going to end up switching that to white because that's how it is on the other side. See in that corner, it's white right there. Let's go back over and swap that out. Boom. All right, cool. So now we can start to build out this room a little bit, the rest of it. Um, more or less have a really good idea of how big this thing's going to be. And like I said, I was saying to you guys earlier, we're not taking up a super huge amount of room. And I think this is all that we need. I mean, you don't need, room after room of prisons to, get this point across. I think this is really only thing that we need. And then from here, we can move on to doing some other cool things on the interior. Now, one thing that I'm going to have a problem with on this side is that we're going to hit that row of red concrete. But I'm going to show you guys a way that we can kind of blend that in without it becoming a problem. Because my original plan was to have my walls be more or less white with an orange block in the back to simulate this part right here. But because of that red strip, it's kind of made me rethink how this is going to look. Well, let's get the rest of these walls up. We're just going 3 high, and then we'll come back around. We'll do the back wall, and then we'll add a roof in. All right, now we can start to do our back wall. Let's just do 1 row straight across the back, and we'll work our way up. Alright, I need orange concrete. Now I'm going to do 3 wide and 2 high, but that's going to be shaved down to just a single block. Because as I was going through this, I don't know, it felt more like it was taking up the whole back wall, and I know that this room is a little bit bigger than what I have, but at the same time, I didn't want to dedicate this much room to a brig. I don't think that it really needed it. Um, all right, before we do anything else, I need to get some sea lanterns in here. It's getting a little bit dark. We're going to take out the 2 middle blocks, replace that with sea lanterns so we can get some light in the roof. And we can do that, in fact, the same way for every room. For now, we're going to take out the top row of orange concrete and replace that with the white. Eventually, we'll go back and get rid of the ones on the side. Let's get in here and get some light down. All right, we are jamming. Got our lights. Get rid of that. We're going to move into the next room. We got one more. I close this up. We still have a few things left to do. Still got about 8 minutes left or so. But this is really when I have the most fun on here, when I have a clear um, vision of what I want to do, and I'm able to build it in just a short period of time. This was actually, very satisfying. Honestly, how this came out. That red block up there. So we only have one, which isn't a big deal, but we can't get rid of that again because that's going in the next room. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a red strip going all the way back, just to cover it up. It's going to make it part of the design. I don't think that looks horrible. There's a red line on the outside of it, so I think we can get away with it. And I don't know, this red stripe going down the sides just gives it like a retro feel to me for some reason. Doesn't look bad. I get a little rambunctious and go ahead and add my red glass blocks in. I wanted to see what it looked like, but we're not ready yet. I got to get a couple of things. We need a cauldron, and we need a bed, and we need the white quartz stairs. We're going to do the stairs in the side, so that can either be considered a chair or a toilet. Take your pick. And we do that in all 3. Perfect. Now I need a bed and the cauldron. In the bed, I'm going to grab 3 of them, a green one, a red one, and a gray one. And I'm going to put all 3 of them down because I want to see how they look and which one I like the most. But I'm ultimately going to go with the gray one. I wanted one with more color, which is why I had the first 2 down. But when I saw the gray one, I was like, that might not look so bad in the Brig, and it kind of goes with the floor. And when I threw it down, I actually really liked it, so I decided to go with the gray. All right, I've got the green, and let's get the gray. The green doesn't look bad. It has like a retro feel, but like it's a tacky retro, and I'm not feeling that too much. I think the gray looks the cleanest out of the 3. I don't know why when I look at the red, it just looks like there's too much in the room. Even though the floor is that gray, it looks really good like that. Now we still have two things that we have to do here. We're going to need a cauldron, and then we're going to need a yellow concrete block. Because what we're going to do is we're going to basically add like a yellow safety line right in front of the force field, and that'll look really cool. All right, we actually have to add our white concrete divider in our entry waypoints. This way it matches the rest of our ship to simulate that these will be automatic doors. They're not right now, um, and I could have made them automatic doors, and maybe there will come a point where I go through here and make most of these automatic, but I decided not to do it at this point. I wanted just to focus on this area of the ship, and I feel I've already covered the automatic doors. I mean, if I have people asking me for it, I mean, maybe I'll go back and do it, but at this point, I just haven't done it yet. I've just been trying to get as much as the ship completed as I possibly can. Um, and that was honestly another reason why I wanted to post this video, because I know for a couple of videos, I had a lot of prep work that we've been getting done, and that can feel like we're not really doing that much, but we are at the end of the day, because we're prepping stuff out to get to these points. But this has really been the first video in probably at least 4 or 5. We really got quite a bit done in a short period of time, and I was also really happy with how this came out. And I didn't want to wait, and I decided for the fact that we don't really go through the rest of the ship, um, so there's nothing that we're going to jump and cover and skip ahead, so it should be perfectly fine. But we still have plenty of videos to release for the rest of the week too. And man, that just looks cool. I'm just kind of running out here. I'm trying to get just an idea of how it looks coming in. I'm going to take you guys around to the other side here and give you an idea of just how much room that we've used. And I haven't used that much room. We can wall this off here, and we've got all this area here. We could probably add, I mean, 100% one room, but if we really wanted to, I could split this up and add 2 more rooms. So, I mean, this is pretty good. Um, we still have some room to do some stuff. Oh, one of the things I forgot to mention that we are going to add is the torpedo room in the front of the saucer. That's something that I haven't built yet, but I'm going to be building that soon. That'll be pretty cool. Um, all right. So now I need the yellow concrete, and we're just going to replace that white concrete with the yellow, and we're actually going to do the same thing above on the roof. We're going to get rid of that dark gray strip and replace that with the yellow. And I think this it helps separate this room a little bit from the rest of the ship. But I think, because it gives it kind of its own identity a little bit, but it still keeps the overall design in line with the rest of what we have. And I think that combination of adding a yellow gives just a little bit extra color in there to give that, again, that retro feel. And I think that just it looks great. So now we're going to get rid of the 2 extra orange blocks on the side. We're going to leave the doorway or the cuts that we're making in the glass open for now, because we're come back in and add our cauldron to simulate like a sink where you could drink from and wash your hands and whatnot. I deleted that orange block on accident, so I need to grab that again. All right, perfect. So, or the hopper, excuse me. I always call that thing the cauldron. I move it here to the side, but it just, I don't know, looks in the way. I think the back wall looks the cleanest. Excuse me. It looks the cleanest on the back wall, and you can make everything out for what it is. So that was kind of my reasoning for having the layout the way that it is here. It's a little bit different than from the picture, but I was thinking about it. I was like, I could put a chair there and try to put a table, but I don't know how good it would have looked. I think this ultimately, um, I think it looks awesome for what it is. I was trying to mess around with that line there to see if I liked it, maybe taking away a couple if it would look good, but I think it looks better with having a connected red stripe at the top. So we're going to fill that back in, and then we'll close in the floor. And that's going to wrap this one up. I think this thing came out great for what it is. And again, this was a user submitted request that I had from 4 or 5 people. I had a couple people comment, and I had some people message me about it. And yeah, I mean, this thing just it came out really good, and I was really excited I was able to share this with you guys today. I hope that everybody enjoyed today's content, and if you did, please help me out, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button in helping me in supporting the channel. And I think other than that, it's going to wrap it up for me today. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for episode 58. And in fact, you can always catch new Minecraft episodes on Tuesdays through Fridays. And then on Mondays are my Starship Evo builds. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day and stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.